What was your rhyme in a toxic family moment? I had my graduation from engineering the same day as my mother's birthday. I, of course, had nothing to do with the date choosing. My mother said I ruined her birthday, so she scheduled her birthday party to be on my actual birthday. Her birthday is March. Mine is August. That's dedication to being a bitch. Hope life has been better otherwise. I don't talk with my mom anymore. That was just the last drop in a long list of small abuses. Life has been much better. Thanks 3. Glad to hear it and most welcome. My mom said I love you at the end of a phone conversation when I was 22, and I realized it was the first time she ever said that. My dad said he was sorry for something he did for the first time in 27 years a couple months ago. I still tear up a bit when I reread his text. Hey, people change. I'd rather have someone apologize than ignore it ever happened. Yeah, it's amazing how much my dad has changed. He's still the same guy, but less of a get your shit together attitude and more well, why did that happen? How is your mental health? Whenever something bad happens in my life, IDK why he took such a drastic change in a couple years, but I'm glad. I think it might have been retirement / being financially secure / lots of free time. Getting old can really wake you the fuck up. Source, I'm fucking old. When I moved in with my so and noticed she called her family for things I would never call my own for, because she actually likes them and doesn't see communicating with them as an obligation, but rather because she wanted them to be part of her everyday life. This is something I noticed with my husband too. He talks to his family almost daily and has a good familiar relationship with his parents. I talk to my family maybe twice a year, and it fills me with dread. Doing family stuff with him is hard, and it makes me uncomfortable to be around a normal family. Like I just don't know how to act, lol. I grew up in an incredibly unstable and violent family. I got out and haven't looked back. I'm 100% no contact now. My wife's family have group text chats. They FaceTime every week. They are in constant contact and clearly love each other. I don't even know how many nieces and nephews I have. It's been many years, but it still occasionally throws me for a loop. I can fully relate to this. I completely detached from anyone in my family that's still alive, although occasionally communicate with my sister via text. She'll tell me when someone in the family is dying, and my reaction is just oh. I don't want to be heartless, but I never felt a positive connection and I don't really know any of them at this point, nor do they know me now. My dad screamed at me for 20 minutes when I was 11, called me a bitch, and told me to get the hell out of his house when I casually mentioned we seem to argue more than other families. Oh my gosh. Are you doing alright? Actually, probably a lot better than I should be. Therapy, moving out, and a coming to Jesus moment for my dad has helped our relationship immensely, as well as him coming to terms with his own childhood trauma and learning how to cope with anger in a healthier way. It was a rough set of years, but I also know my story is best case scenario, so I try not to bring it up too often, since I know I'm in the minority and don't want others who are still dealing with their trauma to feel less than. Can I ask, what does a coming to Jesus moment mean? It's a moment where you see the light on an otherwise unpleasant situation. It's usually extremely uncomfortable. For my dad, when I was 14, things hit an all-time low, and my mom was about to leave him when he said he was willing to listen. She had my brother and I tell him how scared we were to be around him and how we generally hated being in the house because of the family dynamic. Note, my mom also did some pretty abusive stuff and never stood up for us when my dad got abusive. That was a whole other conversation. When my ex-sister-in-law broke into my house and started painting my living room while I was at work, apparently, she didn't like the color and that would just ruin her Christmas. Wait, what? Yup. She also used to break in and wear my clothes, sell my things without permission, give me veiled insults in front of people, demand money, talk bad behind everyone's back, lie about being abused, scam charities for struggling mothers for money / gifts, tell people her son was autistic when he isn't, claim to be illiterate / learning disabled for benefits, claim she was a genius. She dropped out of grade 9 and was the dumbest person I have ever met. I know education does not equal intelligence, but she was fucking dumb. Cunning AMD manipulative. But dumb. Closed bracket comma. Paint her partner as an abusive scumbag to people. And have outbursts when she doesn't get her way. She also stole my ex's inheritance. She asked me if I had any clothes for her pregnant friend when I was very underweight due to anorexia. When she was a kid, she would lock herself in the bathroom to give herself bruises that she would blame on her brothers. For fun. I spent 6 years putting up with her antics and would get bootishes MYS's tear whenever I got upset. I have about, let's see, 8 million stories. She was a narcissist. What can I say? Eat a story. Did she just have a spare key, or did she get in through the window or something? I actually have no idea how she got in. Told my mom I was depressed, and she basically told me to deal with it myself. That was 4 years ago, and I'm still having a shitty time of it. A while ago my mom saw my cuts. She pointed to them and said oh whilst pulling a sad face, then proceeded to carry on with her day. That's like a whole new level of insane. Yeah, it's pretty fucked. Are you doing any better these days? My birthday, I got you a pack of socks, but I realized I can get them cheaper from somewhere else. So I'm going to return them. My brother 2 weeks later, I think I'd like archery. Will you get me this $600 bow? Parents, oh hell yes, I never got the socks. I feel you man. Had similar shit as a kid. My dad paid for my sister's dorm room supplies and her car payments all the while refusing to pay for mine. Why? A friend had this. Boys are expected to be independent, but girls are to be pampered and cherished. When my overly religious grandma tried to defend her blatant favoritism of my older sister by telling me that I was born evil. Man fuck your grandma. Christ what an awful thing to say. I don't understand how that grandma think that God likes what she says like a WTF. Some people take religion too far and it has a bad influence on non-religious because they think almost everyone religious is like that. Exactly. Bill Burr told a joke no one thinks they have an anger problem until they punch out the clown at their kid's birthday party. For whatever reason it really made me step back and ask why the hell am I so angry all the goddamn time. Because my parents never wanted a kid, so they raised me like a dog. You've got treats. You've got toys, food and shelter. Why do you keep bothering me? When I dropped out of high school I was practically goddamn feral. No social skills. No discipline. Not even a personality. The end result of neglect and emotional abuse. It's been a real trip to experience a supportive, emotional and loving relationship for the first time as an adult though. I've really got the most wonderful wife on the planet. Holy fuck this struck a nerve with me. I think you've articulated some of the damage my mother did to me growing up that I've never been quite able to describe. Same. Years ago I was in the hospital after getting stabbed in the abdomen. Went under and the EMS had to bring me back. Woke up in the hospital full of stitches, but still alive. I had a really great group of friends that came throughout the weeks of my being there, to the point that I got my own room. Because it was disturbing fellow patients I shared a room with and the staff were super nice about it. Only family member to visit was my younger sister, my mom, dad, other 4 siblings. None of them came, and my mom only phoned and communicated to me through the nurses, never speaking directly to me until I was back at home. And this was during a time where we actually had a decent, comparative to other times in life, relationship. My mom makes up lies then makes me look like the liar. It's called gaslighting. It's also just conveniently not remembering that she agreed to something previously. My mom does this all the time. So fucking frustrating. Meeting regular parents and witnessing them actually be good to their kids. Help them, love them and teach them valuable lessons about life. Not yelling for every small mistake they did. Also now realizing that not every raised hand is about to hit you, sometimes it's there to pet you. But unfortunately for me, it wasn't the case. As a dad to a nearly 4-year-old I can't imagine the mentality it would take to do that to a child. I'm sorry to hear it happened to you. Hopefully later life has turned out better. Rooting for you. Rooting as English is hard and the other is bizarrely mean. When my friend pointed out that most people are allowed to shower every day without having to negotiate it, That's so fucking strange. It's the type of unnecessary strange that makes me want to smash faces in. Please tell me you grew up in abject poverty, because only that would that type of behavior be understandable. Nope. Average middle class life. This continued until I was an adult with my own job contributing to expenses. 2. Every time I said I like this, or that, I got immediately criticized or questioned, or made fun of to make me feel like shit. Same place. I was in 2nd or 3rd grade and got mocked relentlessly because my favorite movie was Spirit, a stupid horse movie. And then even worse, when I wanted a horse plate for my birthday, I was embarrassed as a 7-year-old to like horses and ashamed to say a horse movie was my favorite. Sad, man. What the fuck? That movie is amazing. Still one of my favorites at 27. Screw your family. The soundtrack is amazing. Dude, right? When my parents are arguing with each other, but then they just decide to come to my room and put all the blame on me, even though I have no idea what they are talking about, just so I can feel guilty and they can throw all their responsibilities on me. This happens to me a lot, but when it does, I just imagine they are telling me off for something very stupid, like so stupid that their opinion is completely invalid and it doesn't matter. When I got put in a children's home at 6 and the other kids there were scared of the stories I would tell about my home life. Gosh, that sounds terrible. I hope you're doing okay now. Whenever my mom would always tell me that I love my friends more than my family every time I get home from hanging out with my friends. Note that I seldom do leave the house to hang out with them, once every other week tops, because I'm mostly introverted. It's even worse if I go out for 2 consecutive days or more SMH. It's suffocating and stupid. Really, can relate. Even if this hangout is something important like a 3-hour group study, they would use that against me for the rest of the week, like I care about my friends more than I care for them. Well, maybe I do now, because they don't seem to care at all for me. Also note that I only get to meet up with my friends once in a blue moon in person, before the pandemic. Say around every 8 months. Strictly when we have an important agenda. I've lost touch with many childhood friends who moved to other countries because of this toxic relationship, and I can't even manage to make new ones along the way. My wife helped me come to the realization, out of myself and my 2 brothers, I was the only one to have never been arrested, yet I was the only my parents did not buy a car for. I had to be moved out of the house 2 fucking states away and teach myself how to drive illegally to get my driver's license. But my brothers were sure taken care of and driving to school on their own. I had my wife, girlfriend at the time, over to my parents for Christmas dinner. My mom offers me a glass of champagne about 2 months before my 21st birthday. No big deal, right? My stepdad proceeds to throw a temper tantrum about how I'm underage and not in his house and all this shit. Well, a couple months later found out he bought my little brother, his biological child, a bottle of high-end bourbon for his 18th birthday. When I was in the service, they had a whole bunch of deep sea fishing trips and pro sports games they would go to without even so much as asking if I could come. They didn't come to my boot camp graduation that I offered to pay for, didn't see me off when I was deployed, wasn't there when I came back. Great times. Much more shit I can't think of right now. Geez, I'm so sorry. That's terrible. When I was in the high school band, I was first chair flute player. As soon as I could drive myself there, they stopped coming to my concerts. It hurt. I feel you. I just try not to dwell on it too much, but it does hurt. Side note, I was also in high school band, played the trombone,